Hey, I'm Vieira. Man, the X100 series from Fujifilm. What, what an amazing idea for a camera. That was the first camera. I bought it back in 2011 when they first came out. And that was the first Fujifilm camera, the X series that I bought. It was the first one available. And I loved that camera so much. Weird. It was quirky, but it was beautiful. And the image quality was beautiful. Um, Back then, for my photo shoots and paid work, I was using the 5D Mark II, Canon 5D Mark II with all the L glass. And I would use the Fuji X100 as my street camera or just all around, take it everywhere kind of camera. It was perfect. And there was that clear distinction. This big, bulky thing was what I used for photo shoots and pro work. And this little camera, so discreet, so silent, was what I used for street photography. I didn't buy the S, but I did buy, a couple years ago, I bought the X100T. But about the same time, I also bought my XT1. That's when I was starting to shoot more with Fuji and buy more Fuji gear. And I was so excited about the XT1 that, I started shooting everything with that. The pro work, the client stuff, the photo shoots, and the street photography, because it's not size-wise, there's not a lot of difference between the X100 and the XT1. And I was so excited about this new body, this new camera, that I shot everything with that. Then even when I got the X Pro 2, again, not a large camera, especially if you put those little f2 lenses on it. And pretty small system. So very excited about the X Pro 2. So again, the X100T not getting a lot of attention. Then I started shooting with Leica. Started shooting all my street stuff with Leica. Again, the X100T is just kind of sitting on the desk gathering dust. That's a shame because it really is a good camera. Now about end of last year, Robert's camera, used Photo Pro, they were in Vegas and they were buying up used gear. So I thought, I don't shoot the XT1 anymore. I'm not shooting the X100T. Why don't I go down and sell those bodies and a couple lenses, and then go ahead and buy the X100F, with the money that I got from that. So I did that. I got rid of the XT1. I got rid of the X100T, picked up an X100F and started shooting with that. And man, this camera, it kind of revived that whole love for the X100 series again with me, because I had forgotten what it's like to shoot with this camera. Such a minimalist setup. You've got your fixed 35mm lens. You can go out with the optical viewfinder, or if you want to use the EVF to see what you're getting. Man, it's just so fun. And that leaf shutter, I'd forgotten. It just makes me smile when I'm out shooting. That leaf shutter, just silent. Nobody hears what you're doing. So you can be extremely discreet. I found that really good at like family events and functions, that having that leaf shutter, it just doesn't bother anybody. You can go around shooting, so many shots, walking around, getting these candid shots of people. Nobody really cares because they don't even know if you're really shooting or not. Anyway, so this camera has kind of revived that whole love for the X100 series. Now I've still got my original X100. I'll never sell that because it's got a lot of sentimental value for me. It's the camera that I used to take the last photographs of my mom before she passed away and stuff. So a lot of sentimental value. Plus, man, I've just had so much fun with that for a few years before I even upgraded. So great camera. But I am glad that I have the F. I was going to do kind of a deep dive, as people say, kind of a deep dive deep dive review of this camera. But man, it's not a new camera. there are so many videos out on this camera already. So what I do want to do though is just share with you what are some of my favorite features and the things that I really appreciate. And I think they're, it's just getting better with each version of this camera that comes out. So I want to share with you my favorite things that I really love about this camera. So the first thing I want to talk about is the new sensor and the new processor. You've got a bump in resolution. You've gone from 16 megapixels to 24 megapixels. So that gives you much better resolution and faster autofocus. I really love both of those, especially the resolution, because essentially you've got the potential now of the same image quality as the X Pro 2 or the XT2. And if you do want to crop in, yeah, the 24 megapixels gives you a little more flexibility. I love that they've moved everything over to the right side of the LCD screen now. Essentially, I've got the same layout as I do on my X Pro 2, so it's very easy for me to move back and forth between those two cameras very comfortably. And man, one of my very favorite features is the joystick. I love that they added that. I did a photo shoot with Yuli back in December and took a few shots with the X100F. And I love with the joystick that I can follow Yuli around, changing focus points easily without having to take my eye away from the camera. I loved it when they added that to the X Pro 2, and I'm so glad that they added that to the X100F. Okay, this next feature is one that usually divides people because you either love it or you hate it. Um, I'm one of those guys who I love having the ISO and the shutter speed dial combined. I loved on the X Pro 2. I love it when I'm in the middle of a shoot, I can just go up there and easily with my right hand, holding the camera with my left hand, changing ISO with my right hand. Um, and it just works beautifully for me. Now, some people complained that on the X Pro 2, that they'd accidentally end up changing their shutter speed without knowing it. And I can see where that would be an issue. I'm so used to using that ISO dial that it doesn't bother me. But one thing that they did improve on the X100F is the shutter speed dial is a little stiffer. It doesn't turn quite as easily as the one on my X Pro 2, so there's even less chance of accidentally changing your shutter speed. So I love this feature. Well, they did add the extra dial on the front of the camera. Now, for me, actually, I kind of wish they wouldn't have, because for me, I'd prefer less custom buttons on the camera, less for me to accidentally bump. But if you do like this kind of thing, then you will love this because it does give you just that much more flexibility in customizing your camera to be able to control it the way you want to. So that could be a great feature for you. So those are a few of the features that Fujifilm has added to the X100F that I really love. I love that the buttons are on the right-hand side of the LCD. It's pretty much just like my X Pro 2, so very comfortable for me switching back and forth. Man, the joystick, I've been crazy about that ever since it came out on the X Pro 2. I'm glad they added it to the XT2 and now the X100F. What a brilliant idea. Um, and yeah, man, I'm one of those guys who I do like the ISO dial on the outside of the camera, and I don't mind at all that it's combined with the shutter speed dial. I love that feature, and if you're worried about that and changing your shutter speed, like I said, the shutter speed dial on the X100F is a little stiffer than the one on my X Pro 2. So it's that much, more solid, and you're not going to have that kind of accidental shutter speed change. I'm not saying it won't ever happen, but you get used to it, and I love it. The camera is a little bit bigger, not a lot. It's a slightly larger body than the X100. To me, that's a great thing because I like a little bit more of a camera to hold on to. If there's a little bit more weight, it's not really, you really wouldn't notice it. But the fact that it is a little bit bigger, I do like that. One of my other favorite things that I'm so glad they did is they gave you the same battery now that powers your X Pro 2 or your XT2 now works for the X100, X100F. Remember how the X100 and the S and the T, they had that smaller battery. And so, I had two different battery chargers, for the different size battery. Now I can use one charger size for all my batteries for my Fuji cameras. That is beautiful. I love that, man. There's nothing that I really don't like. This is the most perfect version of this X100 camera. Remember the first one? I loved it. I loved that camera. It was a little weird. It was a little frustrating with the autofocus sometimes. But wow, just so much fun to shoot, and the image quality was, it really stood out. So beautiful. Now you've got even more resolution. Man, the autofocus is fast. It's not, my X Pro 2 is still a little bit faster, but not by much, man. The X100F autofocus is much faster than it used to be. They've used that same lens, right, that they've used throughout the series. And I love the lens, and it is a beautiful look. It still has kind of that mushy glow if you shoot it wide open at f2 and you're right up on top of something. If you're doing close-up shots at f2, good light, yeah, it's still got that kind of mushy glow to it. And is that a drag? I guess, man. I kind of wish that it didn't do that. That would be neat if it didn't. But it's okay. It's okay for everything you get with this camera. The leaf shutter, that silent shooting, that, if you want to do high-speed sync, man, this is your camera. High-speed flash sync. Yeah, it's just improved pretty much in every way. The joystick, that ISO thing. If you're looking for a good X100 camera, any of them are fun. The S, the T, the X100. But this is definitely the best one in the series. And like I said, it's pretty much like they've taken an X Pro 2 and pushed it down into the body of an X100F. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a few more of some shots that I've taken with this camera. So I hope you enjoy these. Okay, those are a few of my favorite things for the X100F. Acros. Man, they added Acros, the film simulation, Acros. Um, Beautiful. That is one of my favorite things about the X Pro 2 when I got that was, wow, what a beautiful film simulation. Um, my gal Rosanna was here last week, and she pretty much owned that camera for the week. Fell in love with it. It's a lovable camera. It's a powerful camera. It's a beautiful image-making tool and very fun. Hey, I hope this has been helpful. And I'm Ted Vieira. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll answer anything I can. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.